Hello everyone, welcome to Pocket Japan. You've come to the right place to learn Japanese the right way. Yokoso! Today we'll leave the grammar behind and we'll go back to particles. Particles are small characters with a function quite unique to the Japanese language. As a recap, particles generally go after a word and they determine the grammatical function of the word that precedes it. We already saw wa and ga, wa being the topic marker and ga being the subject marker of the sentence, and this enabled us to make very simple one subject, one verb sentences like he swims, 彼が泳ぐ, or I sang, 私は歌いました, or the book is interesting, 本は面白いです. Still, we're very limited in what we can express with just the particles wa and ga. So to massively expand our Japanese, we will learn about the particle wo, and thus learn how to add direct objects to the sentence. First and foremost, the way how to write the particle wo is a bit counterintuitive because similarly to the particle wa, although it's pronounced as wa, it's actually written as the hiragana ha. And similarly, the particle wo, although it's pronounced as o, it's actually written as wo, as in W-O. So that's the hiragana that's used. It's a bit counterintuitive. Just be careful not to, make a mistake in that department. And the particle wo has several uses, but its main function is definitely marking the direct object of a sentence, as said earlier. The direct object is who or what the subject of a sentence does an action to. This sounds a bit complicated and convoluted, so let's look at some examples. He caught a cat. Who did the action? He did. He is the subject. What did he do? He caught. To catch is a verb. And what did he catch? A cat. The cat is our direct object in this case. Or a second example would be Tanaka eats an apple. Tanaka is the subject, and to eat is the verb, and the apple is the direct object. So it's really quite easy what a direct object is. Explaining it is more difficult than understanding what it is. And basically what you need to do to say these sentences in Japanese is you need to take the direct object and add the particle wo behind it. As we know, verbs come last in Japanese sentences, so instead of our Western SVO structure being subject followed by the verb followed by the objects, I see a cat for example, Japanese would be an SOV language, so first the subject, then the objects, and then the verb. So the sentences from a minute ago would be as follows in Japanese. He caught a cat. 彼は猫を捕まえました. Kare is a pronoun, pronoun I guess it is, and it means he. Wa is a particle indicating the topic, being the he, and in this case it also implies the subject of the sentence. Neko is a noun and it means cat, followed by o, which is the direct object marker, and tsukamaemashita is the verb, the verb tsukamaeru, in the must form past tense. That would be tsukamaemashita. That's how simple it is. So first the subject, kare wa, then the direct object, neko o, then tsukamaemashita, which is the verb. The other example, Tanaka eats an apple, would be Tanaka-san wa ringo o tabemasu. Again, Tanaka-san is the subject, wa is the topic marker, ringo is a noun meaning apple, wo makes the apple the direct object, and tabemasu is the verb to eat, taberu in the must form. Now that's the main thing we need to know about a particle wo. It's pretty easy to master, isn't it? And it expands greatly what we can express in Japanese. For completion's sake, I will briefly give some other functions that the particle wo can have, but later lessons will handle these functions. So first and foremost, as I just said, wo mainly indicates the direct object of the sentence. Secondly, it can also indicate the area traversed or traveled along, as in the phrase michi o wataru, to cross the road, or koen o toru, to pass through the park or to pass by the park, or gakkou no mae o toru, to pass by in front of the school. Thirdly, it can also indicate the point of departure when humans do the leaving, as opposed to when, for example, smoke leaves a building, you would use a different particle, but when humans do the action of leaving, then it would be o as well, from the place where you leave. So for example, to leave the station would be eki o deru. Eki means station, o is again the particle indicating the point of departure, and deru is the verb to leave. And then the last main one and the most important one is that in the causative form, you can use wo to indicate who you permit or force to do a certain intransitive action. Now, that's a long sentence. What does an intransitive action mean? It means an action that is done by itself and an action that does not warrant an object, like a direct object. For example, to sleep. You cannot sleep something. You cannot sleep a computer. You do the action of sleeping by yourself. So for example, to make or to let a child sleep. That would be kodomo o nesaseru. This is complicated grammar that requires a lot of asterisks to explain the causative form, so I will tackle this topic more in depth in an intermediate Japanese lesson, but just know that the particle o can be used in this case as well. But just mainly, it marks the direct object of a sentence. It's quite straightforward. Now that's it for this lesson. It's quite a short one this time. Still, a very important topic. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. If you like this video and you want to see more, then please consider liking and subscribing, maybe even leave a comment, you know, all the things that YouTubers usually ask at the end of a video. It really does help, so just a click or two can make my day. The next lesson is going to be probably another particle video, simply because adding more particles to your repertoire really enhances and it expands your Japanese and what you can say in Japanese. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm out.